Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Policeman caught performing sex act in viral video interdicted. A police who was caught in a compromising situation performing a sex act in the back seat of a car has been placed on interdiction. Senior Superintendent Stephanie Lindsay, head of the Jamaica Constabulary Force Corporation Communications Unit, confirmed that the Inspectorate and Professional Standards Oversight Bureau, IPROB, was already probing the incident. He has been placed on interdiction while an investigation is being done by IPROB. We have internal mechanisms that guide how policemen behave when they are on duty or in uniform, so we are awaiting the results of that investigation, she noted. Monday night, social media exploded with videos of the police officer caught in flagrante delicto with a female in the back seat of a car performing a taboo sexual act. Several embarrassing memes with the officer in question have since appeared and are being shared over social media. Interdiction means that the officer has been placed on departmental leave at a rate of 3/4 of his normal pay scale. The Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, has always maintained that there are internal mechanisms in place to address any deviation from established standards. Lindsay reiterated that the JCF is a professional organization that expects the highest standard from all our officers in all situations. Asked whether the officer will receive counseling from the JCFs, given that the incident could disrupt his professional and personal life, she responded, "The officer's local division is doing some work with him in that regard, providing emotional support for him at this difficult time." The IPROB, formerly the Inspectorate of Constabulary, has established a 24-hour tip line where members of the public can register complaints or submit information on police officers. Reggae legend Bunny Wailer has died. Reggae legend Neville O'Reilly Livingstone, popularly known as Bunny Wailer, Bunny Livingstone, and most affectionately as Jabi, has died. He died at the Medical Association's hospital in Kingston on Tuesday. He was 73. Bunny Wailer was the lone frontline surviving member of the iconic group Bob Marley and the Wailers, and has long been a standout figure on both local and international reggae stages. Born in 1947, Jabi was a singer, songwriter, and percussionist who, along with Bob Marley and Peter Tosh, were members of the Wailers. A 3-time Grammy Award winner, he is considered one of the long-time standard-bearing of reggae music. In 2017, he was conferred with the Order of Merit OM, the 4th highest honor in Jamaica, for his contribution to popular music. Sister sentenced to 20 years for Tamara Geddes' murder. Nadine Geddes, the 39-year-old Trelawney farmer who pleaded guilty to the murder of her younger sister Tamara Geddes, was sentenced to 20 years for the offense in the Trelawney Circuit Court on Tuesday. Before she was sentenced, her 2 daughters, one a minor, who had pleaded guilty to misprision of a felony when they appeared in the Trelawney Circuit Court last month, were both given non-custodial sentences. They were both given 3 years probation. Tamara, 36, was shot dead in her Falmouth home by the gunman on Friday, June 19, 2020. Friend cut in head over stolen jerk chicken money. A man is now facing the possibility of being imprisoned after pleading guilty to slashing his friend in the head during an altercation over stolen jerk chicken money. Wayne Ricketts pleaded guilty to a charge of unlawful wounding in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court. He then quickly told Judge Lorian Cole Montague that the complainant, who wasn't at court, wanted to drop the charge. Asked by Cole Montague what caused the altercation, Ricketts said, "I was buying jerk chicken and I put down the money, and when I was going to pay for the chicken, the money was short and he was the only one there. I had a knife, but it wasn't to harm him. After I asked him if he took the money, he pushed me, and then I swing and the knife cut him on the top of his head." Ricketts said he and the complainant remained friends, but Cole Montague told him to return to court on April 15 for sentencing. Jamaican woman charged with murder in Bahamas. The Jamaican woman who posted a video on social media trying to clear her name following a fatal stabbing of another female in the Bahamas has been charged with murder. Nadisha Beckford, a 33-year-old resident of Marshall Road in the Bahamas, has been charged with the murder of 31-year-old Lakeisha Mackey. On Monday, Beckford appeared before a Bahamian magistrate court where she was remanded into police custody until June 16. It was reported that on Saturday, February 20th, about 11 p.m., Mackey and Beckford were engaged in an argument in a parking lot at the Mayfield Hotel on West Bay Street in the Bahamas. The dispute subsequently escalated, and Beckford is alleged to have stabbed the woman several times in the back. The wounded woman was taken to the hospital where she succumbed to her injuries a day later. Shortly after, a photograph of the Jamaican was released, urging persons to provide information that could lead to her arrest. In response, Beckford made 2 live video recordings, which was posted on social media, in which she admitting that she stabbed the woman but claimed her actions were in self-defense. "You, the deceased, is not my mother or my daughter. Don't put your hand on me," the Jamaican said in one of the videos. "And if you're dead, I sorry you're dead, because I didn't mean to do it. I was defending myself, okay? So if you're dead, I'm sorry, and may your soul rest in peace, because me never mean to kill you," she expressed. Beckford was seemingly shocked that the woman had died, despite claiming that she gave her the now deceased 2 stabs. "Them a say me give you how much stab? Me never give you no how much stab. I give you 2 stabs, so how you fi dead? I give you 2 stabs, 2 stabs," she further stated. The Jamaican said she was not hiding and lashed out at those who were circulating her photographs on social media. It is not clear how long after the video recordings were posted that the Jamaican was arrested by the Bahamian police. Distress calls from some Cooreville Gardens, St. Andrew residents. Residents of Paragon Avenue in Cooreville Gardens, St. Andrew, are complaining about being terrorized by an individual who they believe is mentally ill. The individual in question has reportedly been the aggressor in several incidents in and out of the community, but in recent months have upped the ante, becoming more creative and bizarre in his behavior. He recently used a van he owns to drag the hook of 2 used cars to create a choke point on the street that has stemmed garbage collection and restricted traffic flow on the avenue. The garbage truck sometimes doesn't even bother to come on the avenue because they have to go all the way around via another street just to get to the garbage on the other side of the roadblock, so the street is a mess, a resident complained. Efforts to get a comment from the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation regarding the public violation were unsuccessful. In the meantime, the residents remain under siege, especially single women and the elderly. He grew up in Cooreville but went away, did some prison time and returned to his parents' house, but other residents have to remove the father because he wasn't treating him well, and since he has been the only one over there, he has only gotten worse. When him ready, him carry on. Him trap down trees, him mash up flowers, him cuss bad words, him get into altercation with people, and we called the Duenipa police on him one time when he was throwing stones, and they took him away, but him come back soon after. Now, when we call, them say them not have no vehicle, and even as he gets worse, no one is checking to see what is happening with him, another resident complained. Recently, a resident also lodged a formal complaint that he was attacked by the same individual who reportedly tried to stab him with a knife in New Kingston. The aggressor is said to have also attempted to assault a taximan in the area and has reportedly chopped down fruit trees and plants of his neighbors when he is gripped by rage. It's like the police are waiting for him to kill someone or someone to put themselves in problem and kill him, one resident noted. The residents have become increasingly concerned about the emergencies of retaliatory actions as disgruntled residents have begun to go on the offensive against the unfriendly neighbor. It appears that people are fighting back because some people torched his van recently. The fire brigade had to come out the fire, and then a week after that, all the front windows of his house were broken late one night. We are afraid. We need the police or the mental health unit to come get him some help, a resident said. The mental health unit is part of the Health Services Planning and Interrogation branch of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. West Street in downtown Kingston to be temporarily closed. The National Works Agency, NWA, is advising the public that West Street in downtown Kingston, from its intersection with Harbour Street to its intersection with Ocean Boulevard, will be inaccessible to motorists on Wednesday, March 3, 2021. The NWA said the roadway will be closed between the hours of 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. to facilitate paving works. During the period of works, motorists will not be able to use the roadway as per usual and are being advised to use alternative routes, the NWA said. Crawford objects to funeral burial bans. People's National Party (PNP) Vice President Damian Crawford has objected to the government's move to place a temporary ban on funerals and burials. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in a press conference on Sunday, stated that from March 8 to 22nd, funerals and burials will be prohibited. We agonize over this decision, and having consulted from a public health point of view, it is almost impossible to allow this and bring the infection rate down at the same time, stated Holness. However, funerals that have been scheduled for March 1 to 7 will be allowed. In these instances, strict adherence to the 15-person rule should obtain, with no more than 10 mourners, said Holness. But Crawford, in a social media post, said, "Dear at Andrew Holness JM, please review the no funeral suggestion for the following reasons. The cost of storing the body can be very high expense to citizens unless you have a grant to assist with this. If your projections are correct, having the morgue space is beneficial," Crawford further stated. Some social media users expressed mixed views on the suggestions from him, and some suggested that there is some level of confusion about the order. Jamaicans typically keep bodies for up to 4 weeks, sometimes 6, to get all folks from overseas. "Damian, you're clearly not on the ground," stated one user. Another user agreed with Crawford. "I seriously think Mr. PM should review this funeral thing for real," the user said. Another user said the announcement gave rise to some level of confusion. And in a follow-up post, Crawford sought to clarify his perspective, but may have ended up adding to the confusion. "It has been brought to my attention that a burial is different from a funeral in the opinion of the rules. The funeral being a burial with audience, so burial seems to be allowed without audience," Crawford posted. Another social media user added, "No, Senator, one on the same, are all banned as of the date announced. Only those for which permits have been granted will be allowed," the user stated. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in the press conference, announced a list of new measures aimed at containing the spread of the COVID-19 virus on the island. Holness said the government was forced to act due to the capacity of the health system being threatened by a spike in cases over the past week. Bars crippled by new 6 p.m. closing time. Bar owners said their businesses have been dealt a crippling blow by the new 6 p.m. closing time imposed on their operations as part of the latest measures by government to contain the spread of COVID-19. The measures will see bars critically losing out on after-work drinkers, whose operators say account for up to 80% of their sales. Business picks up after work, and that's when the curfew starts. 80% of the sales take place when the bar curfew starts. And there are still bills to be paid and family to feed, Hyacinth Grant, the owner of Tita's Hotspot off Windward Road in Kingston, noted. Antoinette Bailey, who owns a small bar in Old Harbor, St. Catherine, said her business had already been struggling under the curfews and now faces an uncertain future. "This is a devastating blow for me. I don't know how I will be able to function, as it was already hard because of the curfew hours, especially when it was adjusted down from 10 p.m. to 8 p.m., Bailey said. "I don't know what will happen, as the majority of my customers come after work, and when I close at 6 p.m., it will not give them time to get here. What I earn during the day is minimal and will not be able to keep me going," she said, noting that about 75% of her earnings are made after 6 p.m. "I don't know how I am going to be able to pay my bills and even the other bartenders who work with me in the bar." Bars at which thousands of Jamaicans immigrate on a daily basis and which provide employment for thousands more were initially shuttered alongside school last March as the government took steps to mitigate against the spread of COVID-19 on the island. They were reopened last May under strict guidelines. Tamara Thomas of Chalmers Lounge in Terrace Plaza on Red Hills Road in St. Andrew believes it is unfair that all bar operators must suffer for the few that may be flaunting the rules. "This is not right. It's like you are fighting against bars, not everybody flaunting the protocols," Thomas said. In announcing the new restrictions Sunday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said the government was forced to act due to the capacity of the health system being threatened due to a spike in COVID-19 cases recently. Among the measures, he announced that effective Monday, March 1, the daily curfew will remain from 8 p.m. until 5 a.m. This will remain in force until March 22nd, along with the new 6 p.m. closing time imposed on bars, zoos, parks, gyms, and attractions. In relation to both public and private schools, only students sitting external examinations in grades 6, 11, 12, and 13 are required to attend school until March 22nd. All of the students are to access classes via the online modality. Starting Thursday, March 4, a work-from-home order will be enforced in the public sector, including ministries, departments, and agencies. This will run until March 22nd. Staff operations at UWI to be impacted by cost-cutting measures. As the University of the West Indies embarks on an exercise to reduce expenditure, staff operations across the institution's campuses are expected to be affected. Speaking to the regional media at a press conference on Monday, Vice-Chancellor Professor Sir Hilar Beckles said staff represents between 70 to 75% of cost across the campuses. "We took a deep dive and looked at every staff member, how many hours of contact with students, both teaching and counseling, and seeking to standardize that," he said during the question and answer segment. "Unless each person is carrying their absolute threshold, a department cannot bring in more part-time staff. They are brought in to teach additional hours and courses in the evening. Before we approach anyone to teach part-time, we have to look at the energy aspect. We have to look at travel, every item. We can tighten up on all the issues that are not part of the collective bargaining agreement," he said, noting that among the new measures is the discontinuation of post-retirement contracts for professors. Beckles said, however, the areas where the most costs can be cut fall under the collective bargaining agreements signed with the unions. As such, he said, they will be meeting with the unions in 2 weeks to continue discussions that have already begun. "The conversation will go like this. We thank the staff for the transitioning this university online. What you all did in 2020 was magnificent. The academic staff and the managers did 600 plus courses. The whole of the UE transitioned to online and remote teaching. It was very stressful, but we did it. We got those students graduated. We did it. And we owe a great deal of gratitude in 2020 to our staff. But we are asking, can you find any other way to make another sacrifice for the university so we can reduce our expenditure," he said, assuring that there will be no breach of the collective bargaining agreement. Skikes bats for specialized courts in Jamaica to hear gang cases. As strides continue to be made to improve the judicial system in Jamaica, a call has made for more purpose-built courts to hear specific cases such as gang-related ones. The proposal was made by Chief Justice Brian Skikes during a recent contract signing for construction of a family court in St. Anne. We need purpose-built courts, not just for the family court, but for courts generally, and particularly when we are dealing with gang cases, where I think those cases, by their very nature, required a different type of courtroom construction because of the attendant issues that come along with cases of that nature. Later this year, over 50 alleged gang members are to stand trial in one case. With no specific courtroom now in place to deal with such gang trials, Justice Minister Delroy Chunk in December of last year said specialized technology will be used to facilitate the massive gang trial. There is no court that can hold 50 accused persons with 50 lawyers and other supported services. We can't employ the Jamaica Conference Center or the National Arena for a whole year to try the 50-odd persons, Chuck then stated. What we are going to do is use 4 or 5 courts, and those 4 or 5 courts, one can be in Kingston, one can be in Clarendon, one can be in Montego Bay, and one can be in Port Antonio. Once they, the accused, are inside the court, the technology will bring them almost as if they are in one court, he elaborated. Meanwhile, the Chief Justice last Wednesday revealed that the judiciary is eyeing the establishment of a family court division within the Supreme Court. The aim of the move is to attract attorneys to specialize in family law, leading to them becoming judges if they so desire, with opportunities for promotion to the Supreme Court. It is my hope that persons who wish to practice in that area of family law, should they choose to embark upon a judiciary career, can see that it can come with an appointment to the Supreme Court and ultimately the Court of Appeal, Brian suggested. In the interim, Brian said the plan is to have family courts constructed in all parishes. Government could allow quick service industries to operate during curfew. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced that a cabinet subcommittee is working with the Private Sector Association of Jamaica, PSOJ, to develop a model through which the quick service industry may be able to operate during curfew hours. Speaking during a media briefing to update the country on changes made to the Disaster Risk Management Act, Prime Minister Andrew Holness noted that businesses have found innovative ways to serve the public through the growth of the delivery economy. This, he said, is evidenced by the emergences of several online malls and food delivery apps. I have a presentation from the PSOJ a few nights ago which showed how delivery could be done. So, we have a subcommittee of cabinet looking at how we could implement it. We have agreed that we will test it in a geographical area, and as soon as those details are refined, we will bring the solution to the country, said Prime Minister Andrew Holness. This, the Prime Minister also stated, is the government's attempt to keep production going during the curfew hours. The Prime Minister said, in doing a balanced act of controlling the spread of the virus and maintaining production, we recognize businesses in the quick service industry, such as restaurants, are finding it very difficult. I note that the restaurant industry does not only include established stores, but also small businesses like the Pan Chicken Man on Red Hills Road in Legany and in Olympic Way. They are a part of that quick service industry. Prime Minister Holness noted that the quick service industry employs a significant number of Jamaicans and contributes to the income of many households. He also added that with the curfew in place, the loss of income in the sector is significant. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister underscored that the government and the private sector organization of Jamaica are working to ensure that the agreed model is inclusive and open to all, including the pan chicken vendor. It is not beyond the government to find solutions to the emergencies of the delivery economy as businesses migrate online. The question for the government is how we facilitate delivery during curfew hours. Many issues would have to be resolved, like the question of equity and how we do facilitate the pan-chicken man, said Prime Minister Andrew Holness. In the meantime, the government also plans to make some consideration for the sports industry. The Prime Minister said, "We would like to see the resumption of sporting activities, but we would want to see it done safely. We observe the various sporting associations are coming on board with plans, but now it would be inconsistent with the challenges that we face if we are to approach. We will still consider them and work with them to ensure that we refine the arrangements, and as soon as we are out of this danger zone, we can start to look at how we can get the sporting sector back up and running." Prime Minister Holness thanked the sporting sector for their patience as the government works strategically to put measures in place to revamp the industry. BCIC joins Transport Group for First Responder Training. British Caribbean Insurance Company BCIC joined the Transport Operations Sustainable Service TODSS in Portland last week to launch the Transport Operations Blue Ribbon First Responder Training Certification and Branding Project. With an increase in public passenger vehicle PPV portfolio, BCIC's General Manager, Insurance Solution Michelle Anderson, said the company has a vested interest in road safety, especially as it concerns public transport operators. "The program is a perfect fit for us, and this partnership will result in safer roads for our passengers and drivers," she said. Anderson said, "With the launch of this initiative, drivers will be more empowered, knowing that they have not just taken the additional steps to ensure their transport persons safely, but that they have been equipped with the necessary emergency medical and fire prevention training to help save lives in general." The program will train several PPV license holders, including taxi operators, on life-saving first aid techniques. The public transport operators will also stand to benefit from being trained and certified in customer service, the Road Traffic Act, and value and attitude for personal and national prosperity. British Caribbean Insurance Company Limited, BCIC, has been offering insurance solutions since 1962. A member of the ICD Group, the company is also an affiliate of Victoria Mutual Building Society VMBS. Jamaican man charged with murder of male Jamaican partner in Canada. A Jamaican man has been charged with the murder of his Jamaican male partner under mysterious circumstances in Toronto, Canada on the weekend. 28-year-old Lionel Malcolm of Toronto has been charged with second-degree murder relating to the death of 38-year-old Rupert Brown, a medical doctor also of Toronto. It was reported that the police were called to the Keele Street and Ellington Avenue West area in West Toronto at about 3:25 a.m. on Saturday, February 27. Brown was later found with obvious injuries, according to a release from the Toronto police. No further details were provided about the nature of the injuries. However, media reports suggest that the Jamaican was found in his apartment on the third floor of a complex. After a neighbor called the police, he was later pronounced dead. Investigators arrested Malcolm later on Saturday and charged him in connection with the death. He appeared in court that same day, the police indicated. However, no details of the court hearing were shared. But, according to media outlet Global News in Canada, Malcolm has been remanded in custody until March 18. Interestingly, the news outlet reported that Malcolm and Brown had been involved in a domestic abuse case some weeks before Brown's death. Malcolm was reportedly on bail at the time of the incident after being charged with possession of a dangerous weapon, a knife, assault and assault with a weapon on January 27. The complainant in the matter was Brown, Global News shared. Based on Brown's Facebook profile, he was from Montego Bay, St. James, and was a past student of Cornwall College. He studied medicine at the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies UWI between 2010 and 2015. Brown's LinkedIn profile also suggested that his place of employment in Jamaica was at the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where he worked as a medical doctor between 2018 and 2020. It is not clear when he moved to Canada, and his LinkedIn profile did not share his present occupation in that country. In relation to Malcolm, his LinkedIn profile revealed that he was a former investigator employed at the Independent Commissioner of Investigations (INDECOM) in Jamaica between January 2016 and January 2020. The profile said he was also a recipient of the Bachelor of Law degree from the University of Technology (UTech). Up to the time of his arrest, Malcolm was a National Committee on Accreditation (NCA) candidate at the Federation of Law Societies of Canada, according to his LinkedIn profile. Meanwhile, a woman purporting to have received permission from Brown's sister shared a message on Facebook informing of the Jamaican's passing. With permission received from his Rupert Brown's family, it is with extreme sadness that I announce that our dear colleague and friend, Dr. Rupert Brown, has passed away. If you are members of the medical and dental class of 2015, I am sure you remember him fondly. May he rest in peace. Please keep his family in prayers, the woman posted. She went on to share a message supposedly from Brown's sister. I do not know all my brother's friends or have their contact details, which leads to a message on his timeline. Rupert will not be responding to any messages or call anymore in the near or far future. This message is as hard to write as it is to accept what the reality is. My brother, Dr. Rupert A. Brown, has died. He was murdered in Toronto, Canada, Saturday early morning. So, if you were texting and calling and did not receive a response, his death is the reason for that. For those who knew my brother, knew that he was a wonderful individual and he did not deserve to leave the world by the hands of another in a violent manner. I will not disclose the circumstances surrounding his death, except that he did not leave this world at his own volition that was allegedly taken away from him by someone who was selfish, the post stated. For those who were close to my brother and shared a bond with him, my condolences to you, Sigh, R.I.P. Bro. You will always and forever be missed, the message concluded. In the meantime, the police in Toronto, in a release, said they are requesting residents, enterprise homeowners, or anybody who was within this space to examine their safety cameras or dash cams for footage that will help in this investigation. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.